Hi, everybody. Welcome to Branco Broadcast. My name is Bob Branco. This evening, we're very pleased to have as our guest Casandra Xavier from the Boston, Mass. area. She's going to talk to us about her life, and then she will take questions from our participants. Welcome to the program, Casandra. Nice to have you.
Thank you very much for having me on tonight. It's actually an honor to be a part of this broadcasting tonight. So my name is Casandra. I was born in Miami, Florida. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I attended Massachusetts schools, and I went out to Minnesota for a year. And actually, it's a really pretty place. And I would like to actually, I'd consider going back there again. So I'm going to talk about music and the influence of music on, the great part of music. I love music. Music brings out the best in everyone, I suppose. I believe there are people who just say music is their go-to, their rescue, their savior from a catastrophic day or sad moment. So I just say music has been a huge part of my life. I grew up with a combination of blindness and deafness. I've never experienced full vision and full hearing, yet I still managed to be able to partake in the usage of musical instruments. The two instruments I've seen myself, utilizing a lot of the time since I was about 8 years old was the guitar and the piano. And I've been seeing myself having an interest in the saxophone lately. The soprano saxophone, golden sax with the black keys. Oh, yeah. How I learned to play music with the combination of vision and hearing loss. It's this thing called repetition. You play the song several times, but in the midst of playing it several times, in order to learn how to play it again, you would listen to a different song that's completely different from what you were just listening to for 12 minutes back to back. In the midst of listening to that other song, you are thinking of that piece of instrument that you've been hearing and training your ear to listen to. And you see yourself playing it back when you go back to hear that song again. Yes, it may seem really strange, but it's just the way the brain works when some of our senses are impaired to that degree. I am a hearing aid user, I'm a sign language user, and I'm a Braille reader. I'm actually pretty glad to say that because learning sign language has not been the easiest thing to learn, especially having blindness shielding your eyes from seeing something that is completely visual and non-auditory. But music has been my go-to since day one. I wonder if I can ask if anyone has any questions before I continue.
Anyone?
So how did you get to learn sign language, and if you didn't go to Perkins or Braille?
I learned sign language about a couple of months ago, and I actually can have a semi-full conversation with the assistance of an interpreter sometimes. I learned at Perkins taking an ASL course for 10 weeks, and now I'm currently finishing up Level 2 ASL at Deaf Incorporated in Alston, Brighton. How I learned to do it is a method called tactile sign language. It's kind of like the version of Helen Keller style, where the instructor would, or the person speaking to you, would take your hands and sign into your hands with the regular American Sign Language gestures, and you would just have your hands hovering on theirs and following their physical gestures and reading the shapes of the letters that are made with the signer's hand. and I would respond with the regular ASL, since the other person can see what's being done. I learned Braille at the Carroll Center for the Blind, which is where I've met Steve and many other folks from the Carroll Center in Newton, Massachusetts. And I went to Blind Inc. in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to enhance my assistive technology skills and blindness skills. That's where I learned both my Braille and sign language.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Me, Bob?
Yeah, Don and then Joni.
Okay. Just quickly, Cassandra, you play by ear, do you?
Yes, I play.
Oh, well, that's. See, I wish I had that talent because, but I've always loved music. And I never had the talent to play by ear. Some people do, some just don't have it. But I'm good at playing the stereo, but that's about it. Right. I played the piano, but some years ago, I took piano at Perkins, so I played that a little bit, but I wish I had that talent to play by ear. So, but that's a remarkable thing. Now, how long have you played the guitar and piano?
I learned, I picked up the guitar when I was 8 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I spent a lot of my time by myself, 7 other kids. Right. Yeah. My parents could not afford music classes because, 7 other children. And, things are kind of hectic with, a lot of kids and, one with multiple disabilities or multiple impairments. So I basically took it upon myself to just listen to a song several times with whatever amount of hearing that I had left, which resulted in playing the music really loud. And the music to me was not good until I felt it in my chest.
Well, that's good. That's good. You practice every day. You practice every day?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's good. That's important to do that.
Okay, Joni.
Hi, Cassandra. I was wondering, do you live by yourself? Are you married? Are you single? Or I hope that's not getting too personal.
That's okay. I am currently with my family, and I am not married. I'm just currently enjoying the way life is now.
Well, it's great to be with your family. That sounds very good.
They always keep me on the edge, keep me on my toes about everything, staying on point and up to date with everything under the sun. So I'm kind of glad to have them around.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Family, getting my nieces and nephews involved in the enjoyment of music, because music is really good, and life is just fantastic with that.
That is
Cassandra, I see you spent some time at the Carroll Center. Tell me about your experience there.
Well, the Carroll Center for me was it was very welcoming. It was not what I expected, I didn't expect to meet so many really interesting people and to be able to connect with a lot of people. I've made some good friends from the Carroll Center, and at first it was just like, oh, wow. This is a nice little school for the blind. It's a nice little, pretty estate and everything. And I got along with staff and students really well. I'm still connected with a good number of them. Some we've gotten really, really close with, And we're just like, yeah, I'm glad that I went there at that time to meet these individuals. It was, for me, the memory of the Carroll Center was like, I don't know, like a sunny sunset on a beach or something. Really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question. Oh.
Okay, we've got Ed, Fetish, and then Karen.
Okay.
Ed, my question is, do you have any kind of recordings that you might have made, like a CD or anything where, you know, people can get to hear you without necessarily having to travel any distance?
I want to begin working on that around this time. Like, I want to begin actually tracking and recording the music that I enjoy playing and making YouTube videos and CDs. Yeah, I don't mind the traveling to going to places and meeting people in person because I feel like the quality of music is way better in person than it is on a CD or recording. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that's how I feel. It's like it has to be right there. There's nothing greater than the in-person experience with the musical performance.
All right, Karen?
Yes, I have a question. I've heard about that Blind Incorporated in Minnesota, and I've heard some good things about it. How did you like it?
It was a challenge. It was a good challenge, actually. I got to exercise my skills that I've learned in the middle of training, like, you know, travel skills, my fear of traveling in places I've never been to. That has been totally eradicated. My cooking skills have been greatly enhanced, and I can braille with a slate and stylus now. And basically, overall, that has been, I've just been glad to be able to.
I'm on mute.
Oh,
was that it, Karen? Did you have anything to add?
How long were you there for?
I was there.
If you don't mind my asking.
Oh, it's okay. I was there for almost a year.
Uh-huh.
And I finished.
And is it near Minneapolis, isn't it?
Yep, it's in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I've been there for an ACB convention. Quite a nice city.
It's cool. I like their APS system that they have in the Nicollet area and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think I heard Lou out there. Lou, are you out there? Lou,
I think she's
yeah, she wasn't muted when she was asking. That's why I heard her. So if she wants to ask Cassandra something, she can do it. Otherwise, I'll wait for some other questions.
I got a question.
Yes.
Sandra, how would you compare Blind Inc. With the Carroll Center? Because I know that kind of different programs. I guess Blind Inc. is more intense, you know, longer term, and kind of wish.
Oh, yeah. Blind Inc. and the Carroll Center are completely different. I want to start off with the, you know, ability to do things almost at your own time, like go in and out of your residential area without a curfew. You have a key to the apartment and the building to get in and out whenever you please. You don't necessarily need a clearance to do things. You know, I'm not saying, you know, it's bad. I'm sure there are reasons why that had to be put there. But you are basically left to live as if you were not in school. Like, you are living on your own. You cook whatever you want. You do whatever you want, so long as you get to classes on time and you perform in school and you do what you need to do.
Oh, that sounds great.
I have another question.
Yes.
It's Ed again. You mentioned that you have a hearing problem and a vision problem, and
yes.
I'm wondering if you use hearing aids, and if you do, do you find, I use them, and I'm a musician also, and I find that when I do it, I do use Braille music, and I can also, play by ear, and I've done arranging, things like that. I find that the hearing aids tend to distort the music, and I wondered if that is a stumbling block for you.
Oh, it's a similar thing. I actually, I do use hearing aids. I use one hearing aid for my left ear. I don't hear anything in my right ear. I've never had anything there since birth. But when it comes to music and vocal projection, what I tend to do is just go without the hearing aid and lean my head back, because if you are someone who hears out of one ear and you are singing, the best thing to do is tilt your head back and slightly to the right, and you can almost hear things at a different range than if you have your hearing aids on and you can hear all the crackling noise from the intensity and the screeching sounds if you hit a high note too high or too hard. It backfires in your ear. So I usually go without a hearing aid when vocal projection is needed, with the head back and slightly to the right.
Cassandra?
All right.
Yeah.
Bob, I have a question. This is Lou, and I was muted, and that's why people couldn't hear me. First of all, I want to say that your speech is absolutely beautiful. And I wondered if you had any hearing before you became deaf, and I wonder if you found it, I'm sure you found it to be a hard adjustment. But I just listening to you, I'm amazed. And do you find that you get, where you're deafblind, there's more services out there for deafblind people over services for blind people? And have you taken part in all of the things that you needed to do? And are you going to pursue things more in the future? And is there any way that you can get, like, a little more hearing or a cochlear implant or something so that you can hear out of your left ear?
Well, first I'd like to say thank you for the compliment on the speech. I've had intensive speech therapy since early intervention in Florida, and when I moved to Boston, I was born with bilateral hearing loss. I have what is called sensory neural hearing loss, whereas the nerve of the ear, the hearing nerve, is dying, and a cochlear implant will not work.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Services, yes. When you are a deaf-blind individual, you tend to have to advocate 20 times harder to get what you need, because there are services out there, but they don't talk about them. You basically have to look online and do some inside digging on your own. A bit of legislative work has to happen. If you want safe street crossings, you go to the State House and you advocate for usable APS systems like I had done back in December. And as soon as I got out of Minnesota, that's exactly what I started doing right away. So you basically have to work harder.
Are they, this is a technological thing or whatever, because I know there's a lot of equipment for deaf, blind people, and even on the phones there is the, I don't know much about the TTY devices that you use, but is there a lot of technology now today so that people who do not have the best speech, who are deaf, blind, can learn how to speak clear and things like that? Is there a lot of technology out there for them?
There is what is called video phone relay, where you can either type out your response to the phone call, or there is also those are like digital phones that can be typed out onto. And then there are the traditional phone calls where you can sign into a screen and the interpreter will relay what you say to the other person back and forth. I believe that's as close as they can get. And if the person wants, they can go to speech therapy and work on their speech depending on how far along they are with their deafness and the comfort level.
Could you hear like the human voice at all when you were very, very little before you lost some of that hearing that you lost?
I've always been able to hear some speech. It just had to be at a certain level, and if my back was turned against somebody, I couldn't hear what they were saying to me. It would sound like a distant mumble, which then led to people just constantly screaming at me for me to hear them, which for others would look like it was just aggressiveness, but that was just their way of communicating with me until I got hearing aids.
Oh.
Well, Casandra, this is Joni again, and I'm going to have to leave, but I want to tell you that you have a lovely speaking voice, and you're very articulate, and I like your style. You really have a drive and a willingness to go forward, and I think you're really a neat gal.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you, Joni.
Hello.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Yeah, Don, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah, okay. Casandra, what did you take at the Carroll Center when you went there?
I was placed into all the classes. Orientation and mobility, Braille, communications with technology, cooking class.
Oh, okay, the full gambit.
Yeah, yep, all of it, including tech training.
Oh, okay. Did you say computer class too?
Yes, learning JAWS.
Oh, okay. Did you have Dina Rosenbaum?
No, I had Beth White and Brian Margie.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Dina, but I think she's the head of the department. But I could be wrong, but I think she is.
Well, she's still working there. I know that. I'm not.
Right, Steve. Yeah. Did you say Brian Margie?
Yes.
Yes, he's taught. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew him at Perkins a little bit.
Yeah, he went to Perkins.
Yes, he did.
First instructor there.
Yeah, he was way ahead of me, but I knew him a little bit. Yeah. Well, very good, very good. Now, why wouldn't the cochlear implant work? It doesn't work if the nerve is done.
Yeah, because basically what the cochlear implant does is it bypasses all of the inner ear stuff, and it goes directly to the nerve. And if the nerve dies, the cochlear implant serves no purpose. And I actually refuse a cochlear implant, by the way.
Now, you're referring to the ear that you're totally deaf, right?
Yeah, that too. That one, the ear that I'm completely deaf in, nothing would work. There is no nerve there. It's never been developed.
Right, okay. Now, the other ear, the nerve is still working. You use a hearing aid.
Yes. It gave me 67% amplification.
Okay, now, would a cochlear implant work in that ear?
No, because what happens is if the cochlear implant is installed, it ruins whatever's left of the hearing. Now, it has to be, well, I've heard that in order for someone to be qualified for a cochlear implant, you had to have absolutely no workable hearing unless they put the cochlear implant to restore some of it. And if I were to do that, that would just be sheer bad luck.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, well, very good. I admire what you've done, and Like I said, I wish I could play by ear because I love music.
We want us to play something for us, Cassandra.
Oh, I don't have any instruments on hand tonight.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
Okay, well, unless I hear some more questions, I
have a question.
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Barbara.
Barbara, you first.
Hi, Cassandra.
Hey.
Is there anything that you can do holistically that can help with the air that you have some hearing in? I don't know, some sort of music or exercise or something that could help keep the hearing that you have, healthy. Or is there any holistic remedies out there?
Well, I wish I could say that there was, but there isn't. I've done the injection in the eardrum to restore, but it didn't do anything but hurt. It hurt for like an entire day and a half. What it is just when the ear nerves are formed at birth, it was supposed to form completely, but since some of it was not properly developed, that also increased the chances of sensory neural hearing loss to happen that much more. So as I get older,
with another question,
that goes away.
I have a friend.
Thank you for that.
Steve, were you ahead of that?
Yeah, I have a friend who plays by ear. I haven't seen him in years, and he may even have passed away by now, but he used to always play in one key only. I think it was the key of F or G. And I know you mentioned piano, and I'm wondering whether you can transpose, or do you have a favorite key, or the only key that you use? How does that work?
I have a favorite key. It's the F key.
You do or you don't?
I do. It's the F key. It's a little high and a little low. It's just right.
Okay. So you pretty much stay with that key, right? I mean,
yes.
for most of the range of your music, right?
Yes.
Well, that makes it good in a way. You don't have to worry. I used to work a lot of clubs and bars, and I sort of had to learn how to transpose on the job, even though I had harmony and theory and all that. And it was a good proving ground for me, I don't know what I proved, but it was a good proving ground.
Oh,
it really is useful, though. I mean, and I also find, just strictly for the piano, that certain songs, for some reason, sound better in certain keys. If you can do that. I know Marion McPartland, the famous jazz pianist who recently passed away.
Oh, she's cool.
She
sure
I
is.
got another idea.
And she said the same thing. I met her in Long Island one time when she was playing.
Wow.
And it was a pleasure. She never heard me play sight unseen, but she told me to go for an audition. But like so many other things we say we're going to do, other things took precedence, and I just didn't do it. But she said that she likes certain keys that she uses for certain songs. Like she doesn't use the key of A too much, but she will use it for particular number, or I forget which numbers they were. But she certainly is versatile, and even though I guess she can read the staff, basically I wouldn't say she plays by ear because she knows exactly the key signatures and all, but she did her own arranging, and she didn't have any kind of staff of music in front of her at all. She just improvised everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was fantastic. I have some of her stuff somewhere, and I read the obituary in the New York Times. It was really quite fascinating. Her husband was a bass player, and that's how they met, and they were married, and then, I think he got to have a problem with alcohol or whatever, and they subsequently divorced. But when he was quite ill, she did go back to try to nurse him back to health. So it's really a true story, but it sounds like a soap opera or something. But actually, it did happen. So that's my question. Thank you.
This is Lou. They still have her shows on NPR, and
do they?
I never met her either, but Bob and I have been listening to the archive stuff, and it's wonderful. And
I wonder if they're on New York. I live in Jersey.
Probably they would, because if you have a public radio station, you could probably have
WBGO
a
is the
program.
jazz station. That might have it. The NPR Jazz. NYC is New York City, basically, more conservative. But I'm going to look into that.
Well, they do, but because, and then, have you ever heard, Ed, of Jazz Decades with Randy Smith?
No.
On the stream, we can get WGBH, and we listen to his Jazz Decades, and he really concentrates on, the years, the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and before, but he loves that era. And,
with McFarland, I used to like her improvisations. She would have guest stars, people that were famous in their own right. And I don't know how much rehearsing they did prior to the airtime. Of course, they had to decide what songs they're going to do, obviously. But I used to like that because there was a lot of give and take. Sometimes she would do the melody and this other person would give harmonic background structure, and then they would change in the middle. And she used to say sometimes, I never knew how I'm going to get back to where I was, but it always seemed to end up right. I mean, with improvisation, you can do almost anything and say, well, that's what I meant to do,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it off.
Casandra, what's your favorite kind of music? Or do you play everything? I mean, you must have a favorite that you like playing, I would imagine.
I like to play just about anything. Some time ago when I was at Blind Ink, there was a piano in the NSD room, and the acoustics were awesome, especially if I had my head tilted back. So I walked in there, and I was playing some reggae music. I was playing Barrington Levy, Black Roses.
Wow.
Wow. That's cool.
It's a very pretty and energetic song. It takes the sleepiness right out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious if you've ever tried bone conduction to hear, where you put a special device behind your ear and it vibrates the bone, and if one enunciates properly, you can hear what's going on. So have you ever tried bone conduction?
I'm not a candidate for that. We've gone there already. I haven't had the surgery for it to happen, but the degree of hearing loss that I have, it wouldn't work for it. It's something with the nerve damage that even if that were done, it'll eventually not be effective.
Are you, Casandra, this is Lou again, are you going to be, is your hearing going to stabilize right now, the hearing that you have, or eventually are you going to lose all your hearing?
It's stabilizing a little bit, but it goes away little by little. A year ago, it had a drastic drop. I had lost at least, well over 30 decibels in one sitting one time, and then another 10, which was like 40 decibels. It just dropped, and now it's slowed down.
You must have been a little bit afraid because,
Yeah, I was scared because I actually was able to hear the actual hearing fluctuate in my ear one day. And this was during training in Minneapolis, and I got really anxious, and I ran off to an audiologist. And they said, well, we saw you a few days ago. Your hearing was at that level, and it dropped down some more. So they modified my hearing aids and gave me additional devices to make communication access better. And sign language classes was on my mind as soon as I got back to Boston. Yep.
How do our audiologists know, because they can hear, because I have some friends, and Bob Chef even wears hearing aids now. How do they know how people who are deafblind feel if they're not deaf themselves and they go by the usage of a computer to straighten out the hearing aids if they need, a little straightening out? How do the audiologists know these things?
I have no idea. I guess they go off of what they get in the results. The tests are done over at least twice just to be sure that the result is what it was.
Well, my ear, I'm going to Dr. Melvin. And Bob goes to Dr. Melvin because I'm mildly diabetic. And I know, unfortunately, diabetes affects everything and it can affect your hearing. And I think I lost a little bit of mine. I did in the higher frequencies and stuff, but he's partially deaf himself, the ear doctor. And he's very understanding. He wears hearing aids. And we were telling another friend about Dr. Melvin, and he didn't know whether he wanted to go to see him. And he has, I think in one ear he doesn't have any hearing at all, and the other ear is like, I'm not sure the percentage, but, it's hard, and in his case, I think he's going to be losing all his hearing eventually that he has left.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
So that's
he is scared, and his wife is, she's trying to help him all she can. She has a very loud voice and carries, and they're so good. They're such a loving couple, but, she's scared about that too, and now that our friend Jim, now that he has colon cancer, he's going down to Duke in a couple weeks to have surgery. And it is in the early stages. And he has to have it. But then he has a blood clot and some liver disease, and it's going to be complicating, but he's going for the surgery as soon as they can find a spot, and he has a real good doctor. So I'm in North Carolina. That's why I mentioned Duke, because I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. And he works for Indices for the Blind. But I'd love to have the pleasure of meeting you. And I am from New England, and if I ever get up there to see family and friends, I would love to meet you sometime.
That would be really nice. It was great meeting you.
Bob is wonderful having guests on. We can learn so much from these wonderful people on the conference of his show here. And, I've learned a lot since I've come on these conferences, and I really enjoy the people that come on, and I think it's wonderful, Bob, that you do that.
Thank you, Lucille. Any other questions for Casandra? We still have a few moments.
Bob, do you want to ask Cassandra a question? Yeah. Like hearing aids or anything. It's wonderful.
Is someone trying to speak? I hear something faint in the background.
Oh, I better mute again.
Any questions? If not, then I want to thank you, Casandra, for taking time to be with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Done.
And continued success with your music and with whatever else that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
You too.